chateado por saber que vai estar outra vez, again, a character following a character. I don't know if I made myself clear.
I know what you mean. What I'll do is I'll treat each character's story as probably as you treat a story generally, like with its own climax and
yeah.
So I think I'll go that way.
And it seems a good way.
What do you think, Sam?
What are you talking about?
No, I was just saying that I had a major breakthrough yesterday in my novel. So my novel, I have a few goals, and one of the goals was to illustrate how we're all connected. Not in the way that energies and all that stuff, but when you talk to someone, and if they lose 5 minutes to talk to you on the street, that time that they lost might save their life or might kill them. And it really fascinates me how we're not all connected, literally, but we impact the lives of so many people, and we just don't know. And in my novel, I want to illustrate that, how somehow we're kind of all connected. And then another goal that I had was to have them, like 5 characters that are highly traumatized, and put them together in the same place and having them help each other. But going back, like, it always kind of fascinates me, and it proves how not very logical we are most of the times when, if we, and this is perfectly understandable, but I'm not saying otherwise, and I would feel the same. But if I tell someone on the street, hey, you lost your scarf, and then they stop to pick up their scarf, and because they stop to pick up their scarf, they get hit by a bus right in front of me. I'm like, fuck, I kind of killed that person. That person died because of me. And it's gonna impact me in a very big way, as it would to any of you. However,
so?
Fuck yeah.
If you're being honest with yourself, you have no responsibility for that death.
That's true, but as much as I enjoy logic and all that, I don't think I would be able to have that process in that very moment. Would you?
I mean, it's difficult to put yourself in that position, but I don't think I would feel too much. Like, I mean, I maybe I'd be traumatized because of the death, but I don't think I'd take ownership and say it's my fault, I killed that person.
Yeah.
Well, logically I wouldn't, but I think I would feel somehow responsible. And because if it wasn't for me, if I didn't exist, that person wouldn't have died, So, but then again, that was more to my point, I would feel that in a way that I don't feel anything most of the time, because we do have this impact on other people's lives all the time, and we might have killed and saved a lot of people, and even in things that we don't need to go any further, like the fact that we eat meat, and well, not we, but people eat meat and stuff. But that's a bit different because they actually know and they just don't care anyway.
Another thing that I always hear you talk about that way, it's like when you say that we are all connected, not like kind of energy, but we are connected. So in what way are we connected? Because I think you have somehow a dualistic view that I'm really interested in trying to understand. What is it?
I think we're connected in the way that what we do impacts other people. That's how we're connected.
Okay.
We're connected in impact. Don't you think we are connected in that way?
I think that we can't be other thing but connected, because like in a particular level, there are actually no difference between nothing, and I think that just each person is just like a kind of expression of reality. It's like the same reality, but with different expressions. It's like I don't know. It's like, imagine reality being the wind that is blowing against a tree, and each of us is a leaf, and each leaf goes differently. The wind is the same, is blowing at the same way, but each leaf bounces in a different way. And I understand there are differences, but I think those differences are just like on a very superficial level, and it's not like mystical conversation actually, because I love to read about science, and I think we can't forget that our awareness is inside the time and space. But there are some theories about that, and it's not proofs, but some ideas that it might be something behind it, beside it, the time and space. And if there is, and I don't know what might be, it's impossible for us to conceive it, which it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, you know. So yeah, I think the difference you were talking, it's the difference that everybody can agree with. But I think the sameness, if I can use that expression, is everywhere, and we are all part of. Not one thing, not, I don't know exactly how to express better, but yeah, I think that in the same way we can see all the colors, all the spectrum of colors, because simply our eyes are not meant for that. It's might be the same way that we are not conceived to understand all reality, and because we can just be a part of a little bit, or we can be consciousness just of a little fraction, makes us think. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, which I agree with you in that level, but I think there's like a deeper level, if I can say it like that.
I think with this idea of as being connected, and there's kind of a phrase which is tossed around, which I always kind of hated a little bit. It's a bit new agey, which is that we're all like one consciousness. And I've heard people say it, and it sounds nice and great, but I didn't really have any like understanding of what that means as being one consciousness. But I came up with I discovered like a new idea recently, which is where we draw the boundaries between what's internally us and what's external. And I guess I never give it too much thought, but I guess like at the moment I'm trying to figure out where that boundary is, and I don't think it's a clear boundary. So, for example, if somebody does something to me and it makes me angry, it could be that they were being a dickhead to me, and so I become angry. But I don't have to be angry. But because they do something worthy of it, is it where does the boundary lie between me being angry or them like making me be angry? Do you know what I mean?
I understand what you mean.
I think there is some type of I think just there is some type of shared consciousness, and it makes us connected somehow. About how it's the same like concept of what Pedro was talking about. This like we have a connection with somebody in some way.
Yeah, and there's like a wide theory that says that we don't have like an individual consciousness, so each person with its own conscious, but rather we share the same conscious. And in that case, it was like if our brains would be like a radio that could capture the waves of consciousness. And Sam Harris talked about that in one of his podcasts. Actually, he was talking just alone. I think it was the first one ever that he released. And he was saying that in that case, we are not the radio, we are the music. Because the radio means us being aware completely of our consciousness or our brain or how does it work, and we are far from that. Actually, I think we are in the same distance. The distance is the same between knowing the consciousness, what is consciousness, and knowing what is the universe. because actually I can't understand where's the difference between consciousness and universe. I really don't. And Pedro the other day he was asking, well, if there's the theory of Lavoisier that nothing appears, nothing disappears, everything is transforming, based on that, where does our knowledge and memories go when we die?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Was like the information. Like, if nothing gets lost, then where does the information go?
Because imagine you might think that informations are passed through. I don't know if the word in English is synapses. I don't know if it's the same. Okay, so the way you see it like synapses carrying the information, right? Somehow. What I think is synapses are the information. And in the second that the synapses end, that information ends. Because synapses are not carrying nothing. They are the information itself.
Maybe it's like light. Like when light disappears, where does it go?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah, where does it go, the light, when it disappears, right? Because like light is it's like the photons that are coming from somewhere and then they eventually hit something or not, right? And as soon as they hit on the wall or in poof. And you were saying, Sam, that it's new agey, right? And I can understand why you're saying this, but and I saying this, and I'm reading now a book, Amit Goswami, and Amit Goswami is it seems to be a very particular case because he was scientist. He was a scientist teacher for 30 years in one American university. I don't recall what, but now he's like one of the main voices for like the mysticism, and he took many stuff that he learned about quantics. And the thing about quantics, as far as I understand, which is almost zero because that's not my area, but I love it. But what it seems about quantics, which is a branch from the science, right, is that it really seems to open a lot of doors in the matter of perception and reality that it's not easy to close back, you know. For instance, we know like the Planck theory of how do you say in English? It's basically it says it's impossible for you to know where the electron is and at what speed is moving. If you know the speed, you don't know the location. If you know the location, you don't know the speed. It's impossible to know both. And in that area, that's where when they talk about the quantic jumps. So you go from A to B without passing through the way. So what he was saying is that that's because electrons are not just in space and time as we exist. They are somewhere apart from that. That's why we can't understand that movement.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will never be able to understand the universe, at least humans with abilities that we have. But so the best we can do is trying to understand what we can know about the universe, but more about ourselves as well, because we have the ability to understand not ourselves fully. We will never, at least not in our lifetime, we probably won't decode the behavior of everyone that exists, but we can still look inside and analyze and have a guess that will not be very good. But the thing is, like, going back to the consciousness and the universe being the same, it doesn't make sense for me, because first, perhaps we would need to define what consciousness is. And
good luck with that.
well, I can propose something and you see if you agree, and if you don't agree, you can propose something else. I would say consciousness would be the awareness of existence, Perhaps would you say that that would be a fair definition?
Mm, 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 mm. I would ask you, where do you think that awareness lays on?
It's
Where is
lays
located?
in my mind, which
Mm,
would be in my brain. Yeah,
okay.
and but if you agree with that definition, and if you don't,
No, I have to go a bit deeper because you say awareness that we exist, right?
yeah,
Where is that awareness located? You say in the mind or in the brain. And I can ask you, and how is that awareness expressed? In which vehicles? In which terms? And you might say synapses. And I say, okay, and synapses, what are they? And you might say a bunch of atoms or cells. Well, synapses from neurons, which is the brain cell. Okay, so a neuron, what is it? And you eventually will say, well, it's okay, atoms that are protons, neutrons,
it's an
electrons.
organization. It's an organization of matter, but I think you're confusing the engine with the result of the engine. So the engine would be everything that you're saying, whereas consciousness would be like the car moving. So the car moving is what results from the engine, whereas the same with our consciousness, the engine would be the organization of atoms in our body, and then consciousness would be the result of it. So I don't think, and smarter people than us will have a better understanding, but I don't think consciousness is material, you know?
No, it's not material. So
It's in matter, but not material.
so how can matter create non-material?
Imagine if you think of the concept of solidarity, for example, you have your own concept made inside of you that is made from atoms and all that. But it's also a concept that goes beyond you. It exists whether you're there or not. So with consciousness, for example, my consciousness is not in your atoms, but there's still a concept of consciousness. And where does that concept exist? In people's minds, I guess, as long as there's one person. It lives there, but what is it made of? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, you were saying that something is there, either you are there or not, and basically, that's not what science says, because that's the difference between particles and waves. So apparently, when no one is somewhere, it doesn't exist in the shape of particles, but only in the shape of waves.
Yeah.
And
So
that,
when the last person died, the last person that knew the concept of solidarity, perhaps the concept of solidarity would die. Yeah, it has to lay somewhere. It's like when you download a movie, and sometimes it comes from that computer, sometimes it comes from that computer. So it's like we as humans, yeah, we pass the torch of our concepts, and they live through us. You know the meme theory? Is it by Docking Sam? The meme theory that like a meme is like a being, and it lives through us. So we're just a vehicle. And by meme, I don't mean these memes on the internet with cats and shit, but but culture. Imagine culture. I was thinking about this the other day. Like culture, it's like it's a parasite, and we're just it lives through us, and we feel some appeal to, well, most of us, we feel some appeal to pass on culture. And when, yeah, imagine it was like a living being, like the fucking humans. They don't know what I'm doing. I'm like a virus, and culture can be a virus.
I have a question, Petro, because maybe I'm not following. You're saying that a concept only exists as long as somebody is thinking about it or somebody knows
No, yeah.
about it.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying it, but I'm exploring. I wouldn't be able to defend my point very strongly because I don't know. But yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm just trying to explore that idea. And so if just one person had an idea and that person dies, that idea ceases to exist.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And what if they're just not thinking about it at that moment? Does it still exist or not? Like, say nobody's thinking about solidarity at the moment. It's not in the forefront of somebody's mind. Does it cease
that
to
would
exist?
be impossible, but I see your point. So let's assume that would be possible, that for some reason, for a second, nobody thought of solidarity. I guess so, because the information would still be stored somewhere, so it doesn't need to be processed in the moment in order for it to exist.
Yeah, okay. One of the theories is that information is processed in the place they called the field zero. At least it's one of the names. And the field zero, it's at the very basic structure of everything. It doesn't matter to say universe or world or mind, because it's all composed by the same elements, which is in the place that our self can't exceed, a place inaccessible, but we have the means, the unconscious means to get there. So every time you need the information, you go there and you pick, and then it's here. Because
but you don't really believe that, do you?
You
believe that information is in the ether, and maybe there is like with Wi-Fi, but
no, it's not I can't close that door. No, I really can't. I'm not saying I believe that. It doesn't seem like obvious or like making sense, but I understand that the sense, the making sense, sometimes it's a total like illusion, So I can't close that door at that moment. That's why.
Yeah, well, I don't close it either.
Okay, so it's like.
But that's just because I don't close any door. But if I close some doors, that would be one of them. But I've closed. I'm open to anything. Don't you guys feel that skeptics are very often confused, mistaken by deniers? And I don't mean denier like a climate change denier or something, but a skeptic is just a person that doesn't know and needs to be proved in order to believe in it. But sometimes skeptics are seen as someone that says, no, you are wrong. God doesn't exist. For example, a skeptic doesn't know whether God exists or not.
I think they might have the people have the impression that they're just negative people, and they might not be nice people to hang around. Well, it's not quite the case.
I love.
Well, do you think people are like non-skeptic people don't like to hang out with skeptics?
Well, just on like the kind of the level, yeah, maybe. But
because we're a bummer. I think we can be a bummer sometimes. Like, no, do you really think there's energy? Do you really believe in astrology? Convince me. And they're like, fucking hell. Here comes a fucking skeptic, always demanding explanations.
Yeah, it does annoy people, right? Some people don't like to be questioned about everything, and there's some that do, it seems.
Guys, are you seeing me? Are you seeing me and hearing me well? Because my image froze. So
yeah, perfectly. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't see you, but if you see, you can see me. Okay.
But it depends on how we go about it, because like one of my goals throughout time, and I still fail many times, is precisely not to be that guy that really believe in that, but more to ask questions about it. Maybe you can make fun, depends, you can read the room, but not basically not being an asshole. Yeah, that's the main thing, and it's something that everybody can learn. Speaking of being an asshole, we shouldn't be an asshole, because the thing we say apparently means as much as the way we say it. It shouldn't. What should be more important would be the content. But I told you the other day, but I think it's an interesting thing to discuss. That thing that when I was on Instagram, and I posted a picture of a vegetarian meal, but it had an omelet there, and the guy, man, like he really went for it, and it was like calling me an hypocrite because it's as bad being a vegetarian as like being vegan was the only thing for him. And I was like, well, but being vegetarian is better than being an omnivorous. I was like, no, it's just as bad, and you're an hypocrite, and this and that. And I was like, fuck, this guy. I don't like his attitude, and I don't think that he should approach people like that. Because, but it did. At least I didn't become vegan, but it really made me think about it, and I've been thinking about it because of this message. So, but don't you think like people they focus too much on the way other people say things instead of what they are actually saying?
I please, Sam.
Yeah, don't you think it's just more of a subconscious thing? That
Yeah.
it's not really people are like, oh my god, he shouted, and therefore I'm not listening to what he's saying. I think it's just subconscious. These beings that read so much more about what's going on, and unfortunately we can't focus on the meaningful thing in all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And perhaps if it's there, it means that it's a biological advantage. Otherwise, it would have subsided. But the thing is that we can go beyond it now. You know, we can go. We don't need everything that we've used to survive while we were evolving. There's a lot of things that we can discard, and we can discard that one. Like we should, of course, with reason, because sometimes it's important to read the way they say it because they are being aggressive, and you better get the fuck out. Of course, sometimes it's important.
But why would we discard it if it's like part of who we are? Why don't we all just learn how to communicate in a good way, including the tone? Why don't we go the opposite way?
But I mean, it's funny. Sorry, so, let me just say this, Fábio. I mean, as a recipient of information, as a giver of information, I really try to get my message across in a way that they will hear me out, they will not be offended. So I agree that we should do that. But as a recipient of information, we could also do some work. Do you say recipient, like a receiver? As the receiver of information, because sometimes we think only about the work that we can do, how to be nicer to other people. And we think about what we can do, but we don't usually think about what we can do as the passive element of a certain relationship as well. Or relationship, I mean, someone delivering a message. And for me, if I want my life to be better, as a receiver of information, usually I'm going to try, and I will fail, but I'm going to try to pay more attention to what they are saying rather than how they are saying it. And I think it's an advantage. So I think we can, we don't have to discard it, but as a receiver.
It's funny how you said that it might have been evolution advantage, otherwise it would be discarded, as if we were like the final product, but we aren't. We aren't, Pedro.
No, we are.
No. We aren't, because in 1,000 years from now, they will look at us. Oh, look at them, the poor things.
Well, right now we are.
Okay, yeah. But it doesn't. Right now we are, but it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that evolution got everything right, because in a 10,000 years from now, some things that we are now will not be. So some things more would be corrected. You know.
Well, how are you measuring this rightness? Because, like, I guess the idea of like evolution is to survive, so it's absolutely right and perfect because we still exist, right?
Yeah.
No,
how are you measuring that rightness or wrong?
It's not, because evolution thrives by trying and error, and actually we are lucky ones, because in our case evolution did enough right things for us to be here right now, which it's really different to say that everything is perfect. You understand? Because we are one of tons of thousands of species that already been here, and they don't, because it's like trial and error.
I think you're making a mistake, which is life began 4.6 billion years ago, 1,000 millions, and it started evolving and it started adapting in order to be alive in the environment that they were occupying. and then the environment changed and they changed. So in 1,000 years from now, we will have different. Not 1,000 is not enough.
It's not enough, actually. Yeah.
In the long future, we will have different characteristics than we have now. And it will be an evolution, but it doesn't mean it's better, because in the conditions that we have right now, it's kind of perfect. We can breathe. We don't die of being everything. We stay alive. So
Yeah, but
because we
but
confuse evolution, the word evolution, with progress, I think.
no, yeah, that's different. And at least the scientists say that we still have like the same characteristics of hunter-gatherer, right? Which was like 15-20,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So if a baby, or if a
Isn't
baby,
that really crazy to think about that?
yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. Which means there is like a detach, right, between the evolutionary course and some reason between that and our technological evolution. So, and that's the reason why, like, being too long on a smartphone or on a laptop or whatever can be dangerous in the numerous ways, because we are not still, biologically speaking, seem to be adapted to this new life, right? It says that human being is adapted to wake at the sunlight and then lay down when the sun disappears, right? And sleep at night. But now that's not what. Well, we still sleep at night, but we might sleep during the day, or it depends. So yeah, a lot of changes happening, and it seems to happen really fast regarding to the biological evolution. But at the same time, I read something which I really thought it was astonishing, and kind of touch one of the issues that we discussed so many times, which is free will. But it's really funny, because it's from Antonio Damasio, and he basically said that our DNA code doesn't predict all the connections we have in the brain. It's not predicted in our code. So yeah, it was a really a cool thing to read about it. It was in Erro de Descartes, so Descartes error, I
Mistake.
imagine. Descartes mistake, yeah. And it was wow. So it means that, like, in our DNA code, there's not like everything that we are right now code.
Yeah, because imagine, you might have cancer, or you might not, depending on what you do. So your DNA can mean that you will have cancer. Sometimes it's like that; it's done. But other times it depends on what you do. But then what you do depends on your DNA as well, but it also depends on the outside context, and that's different.
Yeah, it's like a huge mix that it's really hard to understand and predict. But yeah, well, I still believe we don't have free will, which I think we all three agree. But I think just realizing that you don't have free will, it's like, how can you realize that if you don't have free will? you understand? Like, it's like, how can you be aware that you don't have a choice?
It's just something that happens to you. It just happened that you...
Yeah, so you didn't choose to be aware. First thing, you didn't choose. Then, through your awareness, you didn't choose to realize that you don't have a choice.
Yeah,
you know, it's like whoa. And then I think you can go like,
it's like whoa.
Yeah, I really, Sam, Pedro, I think you heard of it, at least, but because you're not Portuguese, you might have not. Like 3 or 4 months ago, one of the main literary critics and writer and philosopher, Eduardo Lourenço, died. And he was 92, I think, when he died, or 94, not sure. And I read an interview like 2 years before, when he was like 90 or something like that, and he was saying, after all of my life and all the travels and all of the knowledge and all of I read and wrote and talked Well, he didn't say it so good as I am saying now.
Of course.
I think I don't know more than I used to when I was 3. And that's incredible because I understand what he's saying.
What is he saying? It's a little
Yeah.
difficult
Can you
to
explain?
understand.
Yeah, I don't understand it too.
Because he probably couldn't
I-
say that when he was 3. Because he
You
didn't
couldn't
have
what?
language skills. He probably didn't have the language skills to articulate that.
He didn't have the language code, yeah. But what he, and that it's we can't discuss that. But when he was 90, when he realized he was like at the end of his life, he realized that, and my interpretation is that in the question that really matter and the most important knowledge you really have to have, yeah, it's like
Is that
if
you are?
everything, yeah,
You
it's
You
like
are.
that.
I am.
Yeah, sorry, you are. It's like that. Everything else, like the intellectual knowledge and so on, it's like fugazi. It's like it doesn't really matter that much. It's like it's a good way for us to distract. Meanwhile, this show, right? This party is going when. Meanwhile, the lights are still, yeah. But in the end, that's not the point. And yeah, I really
understand.
think
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
metaphorical because literally he does know more, but I understand what you. Yeah, it's like inside.
but look, but because he knows more, he realized that he can't actually know, right? Because
Okay,
right, because
I wasn't going that way, but yeah,
right. So
it's like the more you
like
know, the less you, the more
yeah.
you're aware of what you don't
So
know.
and because oops, sorry, because children doesn't realize that. So for a children 3 years old, everything she sees like it's reality because she doesn't have the concept to interpret reality. So there's no border, there's no separation between the children and reality, right? Because she's not really thinking about it, she's just living it. And is somewhere after all that knowledge and all that intellectual empowerment, he realized perhaps that, well, I might have forgot how to live because somehow, like the knowledge that I had was stuck between me and reality. Instead of helping me seeing better, it actually made me more confused or more unaware. I don't know. I'm just exploring. I said,
Yeah.
you know, um, and Sam is like with a face that
I'm thinking a lot like about it. I mean, yeah. Why does he? Why I don't understand why he thinks that having more knowledge isn't living. Why is
I'm
that?
not
Why is that
saying.
any different? Why is that any
Yeah, I'm.
different to a
I,
3-year-old who doesn't know about like
okay, so
existence?
I'll do the question the other way. Give me your explanation why he did that. He said what he said with 90 years old.
I think it's more the previous one where imagine like he understands that there's so much to everything that the biggest part of everything that exists is just being alive, and all the rest is like that's like a really small part of what matters when this fucking concept of being alive is already in itself so fucking fascinating that the rest is negligible. That's how I. That's not how I interpreted it before, but as you were speaking, it makes sense to me. I'm not sure I agree, but I.
Do you think you could feel something like that when you reach 90? Let's just say you reach 90. Do you think you could look like that? Well, you
Yeah,
can't, but you understand that it can happen, right? Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
can.
where I am.
I mean, yeah, I totally understand because, as I said, the simple fact that we are alive, it's really fascinating. And what the fuck is this? You're born. Like I don't remember when I started being. I don't remember my first thought, but I'm fucking alive now, and I haven't been alive since the beginning of the universe, and it is really, of course, it's interesting to know why China wants to get a new set of boats or whatever, a navy, and it's interesting to know all that because, as Lorenz said, maybe it's past time. To pass time in an interesting way.
But is he saying that all of this knowledge now is dying is worthless? Like it's worth nothing?
Let me just say what I just read. Now that I'm 90, I realize I don't know more than I knew when I was 3. The rest, it was me saying. Okay, I don't remember the rest of the interview. Those words, more or less, give or take, that's what he said.
Then maybe he's thinking that now he's dying, and when he does die, this knowledge is just, it's worthless. It has no intrinsic meaning, so it doesn't need to consider. Yeah, he can't value it, so it's just he knows much as when he was 3. Do you think that's where he was coming from?
Like, okay, so like a kid, a 3-year-old has some knowledge, and it helps them to survive more or less. But a guy that is dying has a lot of knowledge, but that knowledge will not help him survive. So it's kind of the same. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so, yeah. Like it's just not valuable for him. So maybe he just equates it to being nothing.
A 3-year-old, regarding of the knowledge that has or have not, doesn't realize that have any knowledge. You know, she might know if she's hungry and you have like an apple tree on the yard, you can take an apple and eat an apple because it's something that is juicy and sweet and it helps you stop feeling hungry. But she doesn't know, she never thought about that. She never thought what is a fruit, what really is an apple, why she doesn't feel hungry after eating the apple. She just did it because she knew somehow, because she saw, because her mother told her, whatever. She just knew, and she did that without thinking. So if you're not thinking, it's as if there's no difference between experience and experienced, the people who experience. It's all the same. It's all happening at that moment. You know, she doesn't. And then when she goes to bed, she might think or she might not think that she was there in the afternoon. But I would say that after that she will go play with her friends, and she forgot about that because the thing that she was feeling no longer there. So which was something to eat. So she's like in every moment, and because she is in every moment, she is like everywhere in a kind of way because she's not thinking in afterwards what I have to pay tomorrow, what I have to do. And as soon as we grow up and we start to acquire like the intellectual knowledge, right? The knowledge that I love, actually, like, you can see behind me a lot of books. The books
look
knowledge.
At me.
Look at me. It's great, but at the same time that gives you something or seems to give you something, it takes something from you too, I think. And it takes something from you because hardly you go again taking that apple from the apple tree and eat it without thinking in what you're doing. You know, you might really think, well, I'm hungry, yeah, so I'm going outside and I'm going to try to have that apple, and you're not doing like instantaneously, like it feels like to because I kind of remember being a kid, and I kind of from now that I'm 32, I see myself doing just because I was doing. I feel like, you know. Of course, at the moment I was thinking perhaps, or I don't know. But now the memories that I have is that I wasn't. I was just living, you know.
So why is that worse or better than how you are now?
Well, according to Eduardo, it's like more or less the same thing, or even less, you know. For one reason, like the memory, the children memories, and when you're a teenage memories are like the memories that stuck the most, right? I think
I don't know.
I don't know when, if I'll get to 80 or 90, but I would bet that if I get there, I won't forget what I lived when I was a young kid. After that, I don't know what will I remember or not. I imagine that my travels I might remember. But
I don't have a lot of memories from when I was a kid. I have like 9. Man, I mean, I have more. I have more probably. I probably have more, but some people remember a lot of things of when they were kids. I don't remember that much, I think, but maybe we all remember the same, and it's just that we have different expectations on how much we should remember. But I feel like I remember more now. Like, and if I'm traveling, way
Yeah.
more. It's every day almost.
You changing a bit the subject, which is, but kind of in the same note. You said, and already said a lot of times, that you're traveling. One of the main reasons, because you need to travel, it's because it makes you to face the fear of death, right? More or less.
It helps me accept my mortality.
Okay. In my case, traveling, one of the main reasons that I saw is like it makes me go back to what I used to feel like when I was a kid. That immense joy and that immense being there at the moment, and in some way, I think it's similar to you, but in a different path.
No, it's funny you should say that because exactly today I posted a video where I talk about why I travel, and I quickly say 2 or 3 or 4 reasons. But one of them is similar to that, which is similar to a conversation we had here when I think Sam gave a great definition of to play. And it's like for me, when I travel, is like the opportunity that I have to play as an adult. Because what do you remember the definition you gave for playing, Sam?
I was just trying to think of it. You'll have to give me a few minutes.
I think it was something like it's a way we have to understand our world in a safe way and explore boundaries. It was something like this. It was better phrased, but it was something like this, I think.
No.
And we do that when we're kids and we explore the boundaries. But then it gets to a point where we already know everything. We more or less we know the people around us, we know the place we live, and we stop playing. And when I travel, it's an opportunity that I have to be like a kid because I can I play, I explore
Okay.
the limits of things, and I experience more fear maybe. But it's an opportunity that adults have to keep playing is to travel. It's funny you said
Yeah.
that because
I have that in that poem that I think I already read you from childhood. What is to be a child? It's longer, and you said me one note or two. I don't know if you remember,
I
but I will
remember
read you again.
I don't remember anything about it, but I
Anything,
remember
but
that you read
for
that
me
you.
reading, yeah, and that's it. Yeah, because I mean it's uh, I developed an example on how like time and memories or there's not like really nothing clear about that. Imagine that you live a completely ordinary life. uh, you're a kid, you have a completely ordinary family, and then you go to school, you are an average kid, get an average job, an average wife or husband with an average kid, all average, and you're not thinking too much in life. You're not like, yeah, you do what you have to do. You're not like particularly like interested in what happens in the world. The world is so big and so complex, so you just carry on, right? And then you realize you're getting old, and you stop doing stuff that before you would do really easily, and then people start dying, the elderly first, and then people just a bit older than you, and then people of your age, your friends, and sooner or later you'll be the one, and then you see your kids, and then you have grandsons, and then you realize a lot of stuff that you said you would do when you were a kid, you didn't do it because it was too hard, too expensive, too far, whatever. And you realize life passed so fast. because now that you look backwards, you really can't see the difference between the day you married, the day you have the first kid, the day the first kid went to
Yeah,
school.
okay. You
For
can
you,
have
it's
like last year maybe it's different, but more than
yeah, but
more than
yeah,
5 years maybe.
everything mixed up, and you say, "Fuck! I wish I would have like more 100 years to live, to do everything I really wanted, and to be the person I wanted to be." And then miraculously, you have that time. And at first, you are so happy, but after a while, you keep doing exactly the same thing. Okay, let's just for the example, your family don't die, and everything
Yeah, yeah.
keeps doing the same thing, and you get again to 100 or so. Is really, where is the difference between living 200 years and 100 years if you don't make memories at the end? In your feeling, what you feel.
Well, okay.
Did
You will make more memories with 200 being 200 years old, but I understand your point. So like not so many more, not twice as much.
But
Yeah, but
does it matter
I
about,
use
does it really matter
yeah.
about the memories? I mean, if somebody asks you, you can live a life with no memories or not live at all, what you would choose the life with no memories, right? Because
Yeah,
you do experience it, it's just that you don't remember.
Yeah,
but it still matters something while you're experiencing it, because while you're experiencing, you are actually that's an on question because experience perhaps
okay, so
needs memory
what
because
are you what are you if you don't have memories? What are you? What is Sam without memories?
Um, I would guess I'm very similar to how I am now. Maybe just the same person.
Really?
Like I'm just who I am now, right? I mean, I have this legacy things which made me, but it's all just existing at this moment.
You know that a thing that's called neuroplasticity, right? Which
Yeah.
but
is
sorry, but I think you're talking about different things because I understand what Sam is saying. Like we just are. But I think Fabio was asking more. What were you asking? Like, what are we without
well,
memory?
I
We
think
just are.
we just are. No, we just think we are,
But without memories,
because
we can think. We need memory in order to think and in order to have an experience. Otherwise, we start having the experience, and the next second we don't remember that it's like we're dead because we need some memory, no matter how short it is. Otherwise, we're not existing.
but
Kind of.
you know that like the kind of disease that every 5 minutes or so people just forget
Yeah, but
about
they have
everything.
memories, but for 5 minutes.
Okay, so what does it mean then? Are they the same person they were before that accident?
No, but what does it really mean to be the same person? To have the same personality?
Yeah, well, let's just talk about what does it mean to be a person, because what do we think, like the sense of self, is that what is it
I think
about?
being a person is an understanding of a continuation of memories that we have, and
And
that
then
memories
we
we
connect
connect
it,
what
right?
we can, and we make an idea of who we are. Oh, I'm the guy that has done this, that, and my
Yeah,
personality is
exactly.
this, and so we kind of perpetuate that in a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of way where we
Hmm.
interpret the memories we have and we want to be consistent, so therefore we project them onto the future. And what we are, I think, is that is interpretation of a chain of memories. I think it makes sense.
I think maybe you're putting too much importance on memories because we kind of distort them and make them up and change them as
But
time
look,
goes. I think memories are just not so important.
no, without memories you can't speak, for instance.
Yeah, I need to
So
I'll be back in a minute.
right, so when you're saying memories, you're just thinking about memories of stuff you did, or but I'm talking about memories like in the most basic level. So language is a memory. You have to memorize some way, somehow,
True,
right?
yeah.
So, and at least we seem more or less prove that, like, thinking and language are like this, the two ways of the same coin, right? So without language, how can you process like thinking? And what is consciousness without thinking? I think it's something, because if there is something that I love to hear and meditate about it, with Samari's Waking Up app, it's that difference between consciousness and what we think we are, what is perception, what is thinking. It does a really nice exercise, which is I really start to be aware of what he's saying. It's like, imagine you're seated to do the meditation, and he tells you to be with the eyes wide open and to see some object, and then to be aware of the distance that seems to exist between you and that object. And then he says, and now look for what's looking.
At
What's
at,
looking?
at what's looking.
No.
Yes, look to what's
Olha,
yes, look to at what's looking. Yeah, right.
look at
Yeah.
what's looking. Olha para o que
Yeah,
está a olhar,
look.
né?
Yeah, look at what's looking, and you're okay. Like, what's looking? Let me give you just another example. I think it will help you with this one. A lot of times it says to be aware of your breath, right? In and out. Think about what you feel, or feel about what you think. Where do you feel the breath most clearly? In the chest, on the tip of your nose. Okay? Pay attention to it. And then he asks, do you feel you are paying attention from the brain to the breath? So where are the attention coming from? Or it's not just the breath, and you feel like, whoa, yeah. So if I'm paying attention to the breath, where is the attention coming from? My brain? It's the brain that pays attention? Or like, is it attention as a all? Because I'm not my brain. Actually,
is it breath itself?
it's the breath itself, yes. Not that you are paying attention from point A to point B, but you are being just the breath. And I started like 1 year or less. And there are some things that I try to get there, like intellectually speaking. And it's kind of weird sometimes. But sometimes I have a glimpse. I feel, well, not I, because, well, when we were talking, when we were using concepts, so it's hard. Not I as a self, but as this identity that is beside, in front of you. Realizing, for sometimes I have a glimpse of like a huge void, but at the same time it's not kind of a void, it's a huge everything. And it's like a glimpse, and then it seems it's not clear what just happened. It's not clear, but it's I think that the thing it shows me, it's like the boundaries of being aware, or the boundaries of consciousness are much bigger than we think they are. It's really awkward, to say at least.
And is this why you believe that perhaps consciousness and the universe are the same thing?
I'm not saying I believe. I'm just saying I don't see the difference. Which it doesn't mean it doesn't exist one, but at elementary level, I don't understand what is the difference, but an illusion, just an illusion. I don't seem to understand how can we make a difference between them, because so we can say that, so in a very simplistic way, we can say that universe created consciousness as you see it, right? So somehow universe created consciousness, and then consciousness got aware from universe. And for me, it doesn't make any sense.
But it didn't get away from universe.
Are you suggesting
Aware,
that consciousness is
getting
not
aware.
the consciousness is not a human thing? Then it's outside of the bounds of human or humanity.
Yes, yeah, of course. Well, not the consciousness as we see it or as we think about it, but yeah. Because if the thing that makes me consciousness, it's like electrons or atoms, because they arrange a certain way. But atoms, it's well, we can, and then we discuss about the difference between matter and information.
Let me just
Yes.
interrupt you. Imagine
Please.
you have different letters at random, and each letter, letter.
Hmm.
Each letter doesn't mean anything. Okay, maybe an A in Portuguese or even in English. But if you arrange the letters in a certain way, then you can make a word that all of a sudden means something. So the fact that we are electrons that come and go doesn't mean that consciousness is.
But means something. Means something to you, right? Means something to you.
Yeah, of course.
But
not to the universe. To the universe, it's like that, and that's what it is.
No, to you. I'm saying to you. Suddenly it makes. But you are starting from a point where you are different from everything else, because you are making the sense of the letters. Yeah. But who's making the sense? Who's you? Who's you? Like, where are you then?
I'm this experience. What I am is the experience that I'm having right now. That's the only true. Of course, but I prefer not to have a solipsistic way of thinking. But deep down, I know there's a shared reality and everything, but deep down, the only certainty that I have is that I'm having an experience right now. Could be a program, could be God, I could be dead, this could be a dream, whatever, could be a million things. But I'm having the experience, no matter how real or unreal, it's real that I'm having.
So are you having an experience?
But I don't know if you're having, for example. You could be part of the person.
Are you having an experience, or are you just an experience? Who's having? If you say I'm having an experience, who's having the experience then? Right?
So yeah, the experience.
Yeah, so it's just experience. And it doesn't matter if I say Fábio's experience or Pedro's experience, because that's just experience. Because if you say I'm having the experience, and I ask you, okay, so who's having the experience? Enlighten me. And you, what can you reply? Right? So that's the thing I'm saying. That's not there is none. There's only experience, or if you can say there's only consciousness, there's only God, there's only universe. You choose the word you wanted.
I would like to answer the question. If you say who's having that experience, I can say me, and I can define me pretty well. It's like all of the atoms that make up my body and my personality. And there's many people that could recognize me as Sam. So I think I am an entity, and if I say I am having an experience, I think that it's okay. Like, I can define me.
Yeah, you're saying me, but to me, you're just an experience. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And then I say, but to me, you're just an experience. Because to me, I and then someone said, no, but to me, you're just part of my experience. So, and at the end, it goes all together, And I know, I know how that can like sound or something. And when I say I have some interest, estou a baixar.
Ah, okay. Desculpa, sorry.
Okay. Thank you for the tip. Now I lost myself when I'm saying I have an Yeah, I really was going through something. Okay. So when I say those things that you might think, oh yeah, that's a bit new age or something, I can agree with you, but I'm not saying because I read in an article on Facebook. I read scientists or people that were in science. The last one I just begun, like I just read 50 pages. It's the Quantic Consciousness from Amit Goswami, and the guy was a science teacher for 30 years. But then he realized the quantics physicists opened doors that he couldn't explain through normal science. Let's just say at the moment that's where I am. And of course,
But
to say something that
I just want to say that I wasn't judging thinking this is new age. It's just something that I'm interested in. I just can't like
no, of course, no.
grasp where
I'm
you're
not
coming
saying
from.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but what I say is I mixed that. So let me just say the three main doors that led me to where I'm now. Reading, like different things that because like I started reading, like taking more seriously literature like 11, 12 years ago. And for the long part of that time, I was reading novels and like really literature, like let's just say, like 4 or 5 years ago, I got more interested about sociology, scientifics, about especially like universe and consciousness, and so I saw some like different views that I never had. In one way, that, on the other way, psychedelics, which the first time I tried was like a year and a half ago, or less than that, and it proved to me that we could have like different consciousness experiences from
That's
the ones I.
why not everybody should take psychedelics.
Yes, yes.
Not everybody should.
Make sure it's.
Then
Make sure it's.
you'll believe this. No, I'm joking.
And no, of course, make sure you are with someone. And
No. I was saying if people take psychedelics, then they will believe the bullshit that you believe. That's why some people.
Okay.
That's why some people shouldn't take it.
I'm not saying.
I'm joking.
Yeah. So, and I realized, whoa. So okay, there's not like only that realm of experience that I used to know, because there are some things. I'm not saying that it's not because of the chemics in the brain or the interaction between the brain and the drug. I'm not really saying more than that. But what is true, it's my sense of awareness changed. And then I start to meditate, which is like kind of a different way to the same point, I would say. And I got to a point that, okay, I can say a lot of things, but at the end, I can't be certain of anything. And so if everything is experience, and experience it's the only thing there is, and then you can change the word to the ones of that I've told you, or another one, consciousness, God, universe, whatsoever. It makes sense, because otherwise, okay, if what exists that not only experience? I say, oh, I exist. So, okay, Fábio, you exist. So what are you? I am what I feel. I am my memories. I am the way I react to the skin. But okay, let's go deeper in that path. And then what are you? At the end, how can I say that more than that? And
Can
please.
I have a question then. So if we just experience, which I can understand that concept, do you believe that there are many experiences just happening, or is it one experience together, or are the many interacting? Like,
I would say it's like different expressions from the same experience. That's the most close, I would say. And then the sense that we are separated experiences is just one illusion more. that illusion based on our senses, because the way we see, the way we hear, the way we touch at first sight. You knew that when you're a baby, you don't understand that you are separated from your mom, and there was been really amazing experiences. I read that in Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman was a psychologist guy, and he really studied about emotional and he did a lot of studies. And he was saying that they did a lot of experiences. One, like the baby, I don't know with how many months, but few months, were seeing the mom crying, and he was like that. He started like to try to clear their own eyes because he couldn't see that it was not him, but his mother that was crying.
Fucking
You know?
babies.
Yeah,
Babies are
fucking babies.
selfish as they're selfish as fuck.
So you see, so that sense. Uh, then when we start to grow up and learn stuff, we see that that's not the case. But at the really basic level, yeah, perhaps that's not like a difference. As a really known writer told, that now I don't remember the name, no man is an island. So yeah, I don't say I believe in this without thinking a lot or without. I'm saying that I feel more often that it makes sense, and I'm always frightened about the sense concept, because
Yeah,
making sense, but
but
okay.
the illusion of consciousness. I know it's a thing, and I've heard a lot about it, like Sam Harris and his guests and whatever, and you now, and I feel like I could understand it, but I don't really understand it. How it's like it feels like it's not a ridiculous idea, but I don't really understand how it could be an illusion if I'm having it right now. You know, and so how is that an illusion? What it means and whatever that can be mistaken, but the
So
fact that it's happening can't. So how is it an illusion?
because you're having it now doesn't prove it's not an illusion, because you can see illusions, right? Your eyes can trick you.
Yeah,
How is
your
that
eyes.
possible?
No.
How
An
is that?
illusion.
But
An illusion
how is that?
is. Sorry, go on.
Keep going. How can
And
your eyes trick you if it's? How
okay, you go.
can your eyes trick you if you're seeing, right? If you're seeing it, it's the same argument that if I'm feeling this, how can this be wrong? So if you're seeing it, it doesn't matter if it's like the road in the sun that seems like have water.
Do you know what an
On
illusion is? An
It's like
illusion is.
it's
It's a. I know my master thesis was about hallucinations in the normal population. So the people that have not been diagnosed with any mental disorder, or people that are not drug addicts. And it was a cool topic to do. I was lucky. It was a cool topic to have in my master thesis. Um, and an illusion is a misinterpretation of a stimuli. So if you look at the cloud, there's a stimulus there, which is the cloud, and you
Mhm.
misinterpret it, and you see a face. So that's an illusion.
But you choose to misinterpret. Why
No,
do
no,
you
it
misinterpret?
just happens. You look and you see a face, but you don't choose to see the face. You just see it. That's an
So
illusion.
why do you see the face?
No, that's beyond the point. What I meant was, I just wanted to include the definition of illusion.
Okay,
This is
okay.
the definition. So, using this definition, how can consciousness be an illusion? Unless an illusion means something else that I'm not fully grasping.
No, I'm not saying consciousness is an illusion. I'm saying you think that you have your own consciousness, and then everybody have his own consciousness, uh, or at least that you have a consciousness. And again, I'll make you the same question. Okay, so if you're not consciousness, if you have a consciousness, who is you, right? If you say I'm consciousness, I rest my case. If you say I have a consciousness, and then you make me ask you, okay, so what are you? what is that little man inside the head that is having a conscience?
But yeah,
Right?
you said, I think from my end that was a better. I could understand it better that it's not that consciousness is an illusion. It's that the idea that you only have yours and it's not part of a larger consciousness. That's the illusion.
Yeah.
I understand that better, but I still don't understand it enough to be persuaded by it.
Okay. So try to tell me, if you have a consciousness, try to tell me, what are you? What is that you? That's where do you see that you? Where is that you? That
It's
having
I would say it's
that's
that consciousness. It's itself.
okay. So you're saying what I'm
But I
saying.
have one, and you have one, and Sam has another one.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't see how me and you and Sam could have the same consciousness.
I think, and then let's go. I think we should, because when I say I, it's not I, but if everything is a consciousness, so no one have a bit of a consciousness. Everything.
But that's like begging the question. It's circular reasoning. You say if everything is a consciousness, then I can
Yeah,
see why.
but it's the same thing that you're saying, because you're saying I have a consciousness, and then I ask you, okay, so what is I? And you say the consciousness itself. So, right, that's what you said.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so the consciousness is creating the illusion that you have a consciousness, right? Because that's what or
Consciousness is creating the illusion
that have
that
a
no, it doesn't
consciousness.
need to create the illusion if there's no illusion.
No, but there is, because you say I have a consciousness.
Oh, I
That's
am.
the
Okay,
illusion.
I can say I am. So let's remove the I have, but then use I am. I am a
But
consciousness.
are you saying I am a consciousness just because of verbal and semantics? Or if not, who is that I?
It's the consciousness.
Okay.
I am
So
the consciousness.
no, just
You're speaking.
consciousness.
You're speaking
Just
to.
consciousness. Just consciousness.
I think
Because you
we're
can
not.
say
I don't think we're gonna get anywhere.
okay.
Well, I understand where it's coming from. It's just difficult to articulate it, isn't it? Really?
It is.
So you try, Sam.
No, I don't think it's possible. I don't know how you would do it.
Because we are using words, right? And words
Yeah.
have to mean concept, right? So that's
But Fábio, if I know anyone that is good with words, is you. But yeah, let's move on.
let's move on.
Let's talk about freedom. No, I was thinking today. As I was coming from the post office, what it means to be free, and I don't think that you can have the illusion. Speaking of illusions, you can have the illusion of freedom, and I have it all the time when I'm traveling. But I'm not really free. And speaking of free will and whatnot makes it too easy, so let's avoid that. But even if I had free will and whatever, I wouldn't be fully free because I would be forced sometimes to do something that I don't want to do. So imagine I'm traveling in Africa and I need to call my family, but I don't really feel like it. I just want to, but I do still do it. So I'm not free. But then I think, but am I not free? I choose to not be free in that moment. Therefore, I'm still free. So what does it really mean? Like, is anyone free? What does it really mean, freedom?
Yeah, like every thought I'm having is going to free will, because I think that's where the idea of free lies, that you are like in control of your destiny in some way, right? You control where you're going, whether that be like how you interact with your family, or whether that means that you don't have to abide by the laws of physics. That's what free means, that you can choose.
I was speaking more in a cultural level, like when people say, because as having the life that I have, and having done the trips that I've done, sometimes people tell me that, and I never really know. Oh, you're free. And when they tell me that, it means that it's more on a cultural level rather than on a free will kind of thing. And then I think, like, am I? Because I don't really feel very free.
It's probably more of a gradient rather than you are or you are not, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if we compare to people across the world, then you're probably like high on the scale of freedom. You can choose to do many things that other people will just never have the opportunity to get. They're kind of bound by poor circumstances and whatnot.
Yeah, but usually the person that is saying this, it's from the same social background as I am. So I think that when they say this, it's like freedom means no attachment or obligation. Maybe it's like that, for better and for worse.
Let me say three things. One is one of the books that Briosa told us to read, and I read, which was from Somerset Maugham. I don't know the name in English. In Portuguese, is a servidão humana. So might be the
human servitude or something. But
yeah, something like that. Somerset Maugham, it's a really known writer. He was a prize Nobel, I think, Nobel Prize. And one of the characters, well, the main character of basically all the book, it's a big book, but really brilliant one. It's just following the life of one character. And then after that, have a lot of characters, of course, but he's the main one. And there's a point where he's saying, I always feel free to choose before the choice. It's only after that I realize I had no choice. And that's a really, I really like the way you presented it. So before that, we have the illusion we can choose whatsoever. And then when you look back, we really think, yeah, I really had no choice. I had to do that way. The second thing, it's funny how people like mix free will with absence of free will, which means I'm obligated to choose between A and B, but I can choose between A and B, right? It's like as if destiny exists up to a point, but after that point you have a little choice. Like if both could exist, like the ability of choosing something and the impossibility of choosing. Yeah, no, I'm saying how people.
I had one fucking nose for this show. Which was
no, it's not fair. No, it's
for you. You're like you want to talk about freedom, but not free will. They're pretty much combined.
So it's funny how people think that. Like, imagine they think they are not free. I don't know, to eat, but they can choose what they can eat. So it's funny. How do you think you have a little bit of choice inside of the absence of choice? And I would say a lot of people think that. The last thing is, imagine you feel like having a chocolate, but then you're doing like your diet and you're going to the gym and you don't really want to mess up the diet. So you don't want to eat the chocolate, but you feel like, right? The first thing is, who's the one that's aware of that two guys? One that wants to eat the chocolate and the other one who doesn't want to eat the chocolate. Because it feels like someone is aware of them. And then if you either you eat the chocolate or you don't, you either lose or win, right? Because you didn't have a choice either way. I don't know if it makes a sense, because it doesn't matter which thing will happen. You didn't have a choice. And I'm sure you agree with me, but that's the three things because I don't want to talk like deeply about free will. I just wanted to let you on that note.
I'm not sure I understood. Who's the guy that moderates between the wanting and not wanting, but you can lose either way? No, because if you have an ulterior goal, which is I don't want to eat the chocolate, but I want to be fit, and that's more important than eating the chocolate, then if you don't win the chocolate, then you win because you have a bigger goal.
And then the part of you that wants to eat the chocolate.
Fuck it. Fuck that part.
Fuck you.
But yeah, fuck that part. Fuck you part. You fat part.
So the part of you that want to drink a beer, I would say that almost wins every time against the part of,
Yes.
well, it
But
doesn't
you're speaking in a dichotomic kind of way, which is like we're either one or the other, and
No, I'm not.
It's like there's two
That's
separate entities.
that's the way you feel it, right? When you want something, but you know you shouldn't.
Yeah, but
That's the way you feel that.
It's not two parts of me competing. It's just me, and then different wills, different thoughts.
Okay. Okay. I rest my case.
Yeah, nobody's free then.
Yeah, nobody's free. But it's still worth it, right? It's still worth it. Worth it. It's still worth it to be here.
Yeah, I've asked a lot of people. Not recently, but there was a time when I asked a lot of people, like, if you died right now and there was something like a god, and you would go there, and then he would ask you, was it worth it? What would you say? And I was asking this to a lot of people when I went out, and almost everyone says. One friend of mine at the time, she said no, and I felt really sympathetic towards this person. But the vast majority was like, yes, it's worth it.
But I think if you say no, you probably like everybody would say yes. Otherwise, they might have been thinking about suicide or gone that way. If you think, oh, it's not worth it, then why would you carry on?
You might not have the courage to do it, right? But,
True, you might be a coward as well.
Or no, but it was like, but you can have the hope. But if you died now and then God would ask you, then
Okay.
no, it wasn't worth. But I have an argument against myself, which is it's not something very easy to say to just someone. So maybe a lot of people would tell me, yes, it was worth it, and maybe it's like that. I'm not going to tell this guy that it wasn't. It's going to be like worried.
Imagine what God would say if you said no. You're like, oh, God damn it, I made all of this shit for you and it wasn't worth it.
all of this trouble and
fucking all of this incredible universe and it wasn't worth it.
But I would say to him, hey, look, don't fuck with me. You did this in 7 days. Fuck yourself. It's just a week of work. I mean, well, no, 6 days, because the 7th you rested, you bastard. So 6 days of work. So fuck you. Let me be unhappy, please.
You know how
I have that right.
You know how in society now people are not in society, in Western society, mostly like the UK and the United States and eventually Portugal. People are speaking about privilege, usually white privilege, but I want to speak about privilege in general. And there's a lot of people that perhaps exaggerate in one way or another, but it really got me thinking more. Even like I thought about this before, but to think about it deeply about my privilege, and it's something that it's not very easy to reconcile. I don't know how you feel about. First, I don't know if you agree that you have privilege, and second, I don't know how you reconcile that privilege in case you do have it. How is it fair? You know?
Yeah.
It's like everybody seeks fairness. Like if you can interview 1,000 people, and I'm sure 998 will say that they think fairness is a good thing, and still almost none of them will actually do all they can for fairness. And not, the three of us, we don't do it, but we still seek it. We still think it's a good value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a normal thing, and I don't judge myself. I judge myself a little bit, but I can. It's me. But I don't judge other people, of course. And if they buy a car, then they buy a car. I don't go like, oh, you should have given that money to. I don't go like that. But it's something that within me, I have some trouble reconciling.
Yeah, I think that um, sometimes I feel like I look the problem the wrong way, and actually I read somewhere, because I always read somewhere, that if we agree that the majority of the people are like paradoxical, some cases hypocrite, so it means that that stuff is in us, right? Otherwise, the majority of people would be extremely fair and extremely uh, sensitive, and in a kind of way we are. But somehow we are conditioned to to the way we are, to the way we run. So we can understand theoretical by numbers. We can understand there are a lot of people living worse than us by almost all means, because they don't have water, electricity, uh, healthcare, whatever. We know that. But somehow the connection is not made between knowing that and feeling that, acting on that. And
I
that's a
think you,
part.
I think you made a mistake there. But I could be the one that is mistaken. But you said that it's in us. But in the beginning of our conversation, we were talking about how the hunter-gatherers were the same as us genetically.
Yeah. But you knew what
So it's
happened.
not
Like,
really in us. The potential for it, for everything, is in us. But depending on the time in which we live, we might have it more activated or not.
But
And
could it
for
be?
example,
okay.
so go.
Could it be because of like the global scale of these problems, and that I generally think humans are just good natured. We're just inherently good, and so if you walk by somebody on the street and they're in pain or they've hurt themselves, nearly everybody would probably stop to help that person. But on the like kind of the global scale, when we see people or we know people are starving in Africa, it's not in our consciousness. We don't feel it and we don't see it and experience it to take that step to help them. So could it be that it's just kind of an abstract thought for us that we're not used to as humans?
Yeah,
I think that's the point, because imagine when you know a million people is starving, you know it, and if you think about it, it hurts, but you're able to forget it. But when you see a story of one single person, a little kid, that it's starving, it feels like, because you can like the subject stuff, it's like more it's more easy for you to perceive that, because for start you saw an image, you saw a face, you saw a history, and when you know the history, it feels like, I don't know, more obvious that you have to help. And when you feel we hear about like a large number, it's like that you can't like see it clearly.
yeah.
You know it.
It's a great point actually, because yeah, we evolved too quickly, and that means that we didn't evolve. We didn't need the characteristic of worrying about someone in the other side of the world,
Yeah.
because some thousand years ago we didn't even know there was no advantage.
In
Yeah,
that.
perhaps. But the thing is that we evolve so slowly. But perhaps for now that we have this big scale of humanity, we should evolve genetically or whatever this gene, let's say, that is really into caring for someone that is on the other side of the world that they
But
never met. That would be the
we all
future of society.
And
we already start.
there's kind of another idea as well. It's like, well, whose responsibility is it? And we should say that we all have the responsibility, which I guess is true to some degree, but also like who has the resources? And there's people with like vast amounts of resources that really could make a huge difference to the world. And they I think they should have the burden if they have the wealth and the resources and millions and billions. These should be the people that are helping the ones in need, rather than the people who relatively don't have
I disagree.
much.
It doesn't
Why?
justify that you can go for 1 hour per week to a place in Berlin that needs your work, or you can't give 50 euros a month
Yeah.
to help an
Like
organization.
imagine being a vegetarian in your whole life, you're contributing to very little. And if the big guys made it so that almost everyone was a vegetarian, like the problem would be solved. So it wouldn't be solved because of your little contribution, but your little contribution still has an impact to that animal. So if people that have a lot of money have the burden to provide whatever healthcare and wealth for everyone else, just because they have the burden doesn't mean that you also don't have some burden. They might have more, uh, but we still have some.
True,
It's
I
not-
shouldn't be absolved from any burden, but probably it should be like related to how much you can impact it, like how much wealth you have or how much influence.
But it doesn't matter, because if you give 1% of your income, it's always 1%, right? So if you earn 1,000 euros, it's 1%. It's 10 euros, right? And if a guy earns 1,000,000, 1%, it's 10,000, right? So 1% is always 1%. So
It shouldn't, but who says it should be 1%?
But
It shouldn't be.
But I would argue. Imagine that I'm rich, and I say, well, why just because I'm rich I have to help more than you, like in percentage, right? So why? I'm more responsible because what? Because I had a successful business that I worked it on it, and because I've worked it and I put my effort, it went well, and now I have to help in Africa. Why? Right? I could argue this. So yeah, of course, I agree with you in some point, but I don't think we can discard ourselves from that. And replying to you, Pedro, actually Harari gave some answers, right? When he said that we culturally evolved to have nations, for instance. So we changed our. Of course, it's different. It's different for you, Pedro. The care that you have to your families and friends than the rest of the Portuguese, for instance. But it's true that a nation made it wider for us. So instead of us being concerned about only the 50, 100 people that we can have some intimate relations, we are more aware of 10 million people in case of Portugal, right? Just because they share a language with us, they share like a common culture. I can speak about Benfica or Porto to a Portuguese guy that I find in Singapore, and some way that that makes me feel more connected to him that Singapore guy. I'm not saying that what's happened to us, but generally of the world, it's how it works, and it's much better than for you to care only about your neighborhood, because we all normally criticize nations, and I used to, oh yeah, but every nation only want to care about themselves, but it's better to care in Portuguese with 10 million people, even not the same as you care with your family, but caring more than you care to a Chinese man. It's not perfect, it's far from it, but it's better. And I never had that perspective. So that's the way the cultural evolution can make us getting there. And I hope it could do. I don't know if it will, but at least it's a door, right? It can make feels hopeful. Imagine that we are attacked for like aliens. I'm sure that all humankind would be together, right? Because suddenly something more important that fucking differences just appeared, right? So yeah, we have to come as one. So yeah, I think we are getting towards that, and with a lot of bumps, with a lot of falls, with a lot of tragedies. But if you look to our history, and just because it happened, it doesn't mean it will happen the same way.
Is that for the first time, we have the power to really fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And I also think that we are getting better with a few bumps and a few falls. But now the falls can take a proportion that they couldn't before.
They couldn't.
And Sam Harris, I heard this in July, because I remember I was driving down to the Algarve, or June.
I just need to go for a second.
Yeah, he was. He was
You can-
interviewing.
You
He
can
was
speak
in-
Portuguese if you want.
No, because we don't know who's going to watch this. Maybe somebody.
Okay, and then make sure. Okay.
And I think Sam is listening. He was interviewing a guy that they were speaking about sustainability of humankind, and the guy said, "Of course, this is very. You don't really know how to assess this, but the guy put it at 50%, like the chance that we will last. I don't know how long it was, like more than 5,000 or. But it's
Yeah.
for me, it's fucking
It makes us think, right?
amazing. No, the fact that because we all know that this is going to continue, that the world, the human world, will continue to exist for at least a few thousand, at least 1,000, And we know that, and we play with the future in movies and whatever. Most of the times we play with the future in movies, it's dystopian, like very fucked up. It's never like really, really good because perhaps that would be boring. But we don't. I feel like although we know the future is going to happen, we don't really grasp how fucking incredible it is. The fact that maybe there will be humans in 10,000 years from now. Can you imagine the technology 10,000 years from now? It's gonna
No.
be fucked up, man. It's gonna not. I don't mean
No.
fucked up as bad. It could be good. It could be bad. I'm not passing judgment on that.
But sometimes I feel like I feel sad because I'm going to miss out on it, and I'm kind of hoping that we can get something to like beam our consciousness into computers, just so I can see what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah,
Mm.
I kind of dream about that as well, but more because I don't want to die. So it's like I carry all the time with me a certain hope that maybe I'm not gonna die. It's like I haven't fully accepted.
According
fact
to Damasio, it's not possible conscious without a body because
No, but imagine I
you're-
upload my consciousness to a brain, to not a brain,
Yeah,
but to the
but
network.
then you wouldn't have feelings, you wouldn't have emotions. What would you have, right? Because a feeling,
Who says? Wait. Who says who? Like I could be
well,
it right now.
I
I could be that.
when I have
upload,
when I have a feeling,
and
I
what the
have a
fuck
feeling
does Fábio know anyway? I'm joking.
because I
Damasio is a famous Portuguese neuro
neuroscientist
writer.
is he's in America actually. I don't know where he lectures, but
He's respected
but like
internationally.
what do you feel that you don't feel in your body? Like when you're afraid, you start like the cold sweat, and you feel your hair like going like this. You feel. What I'm saying is no.
I
What
agree with you.
What
I
Damasio
agree
is saying is we all feel like it starts in our body. So I don't know when we'll finish, but I would like to give you like 3 or 4 minutes to think if you accept my challenge, which is each one of us will do a forecast for the end of the year. So like for the December the 31st at 29:59, and we all say one thing that we think the most crazy thing we think it will happen until the end of the year.
But that could happen.
That could happen,
Okay.
of course. Okay, and let's think for 2 minutes. I think it's a very funny way.
I'm gonna get a beer. I'll be right back, and I'm gonna piss.
Okay.
If
But
you fill the space.
But to go in about this guy who says that it's impossible to have feelings without a body. We could just simulate a body in a computer, right? Why can't we just simulate things?
Well, yeah, but that's different. That's saying that your consciousness will be in the cloud, right? So what you're saying is that you can transfer your conscious to a kind of body. I don't know, of course.
No, maybe not.
Of course.
But it could be a digital like representation of a whole body.
But
and then
why,
we'll still simulate these feelings of a body.
okay. Yeah, well, if you can upload a consciousness, you can do that for sure. But I don't want that. I want to live the max I can with quality, but I don't want to live like indefinitely. I really don't.
Oh, indefinitely. Sure not. And I think that would be some type of torture. But for
imagine,
a long, long time, I just want to choose when I die.
Imagine, why don't you want to die at 80?
Well, I think in general, I like living because I like to have a lot of experiences and deep and rich experiences. And if I have a limit on that, then I have a limit on the experiences that I have.
Imagine that you don't die. Where's the limit to that experiences?
Well, I would want to die at some point. I just want it to be I want to live at some thousands of years, not 80 or 90. Seems too short.
Don't you think you'd be like tired of living, of being you, of the same like pattern of like?
Could be. Like on a bad day, you get tired, right? Now. But still, I just want the choice to die.
Okay, but imagine you live the time you want. You're uploaded to the cloud. You travel the universe. You know different species. You go to the end of universe. You discover all secrets. When does that end? That quest? At the moment that you understand everything, and then you think, yeah, okay, that's it.
Maybe.
Now,
I think
imagine
it might happen when you start repeating things over. You're like, okay, I've done that. This is just boring and tiring. Or maybe just like having your experiences just becomes boring and tiring. Like, I can't have any more. I've seen a billion stars. I've been through a million like solar showers. Like, I've seen everything all the time, and like it might just become boring. And you're like, okay, I've had enough. You've had enough. But I want to get there. I want to have enough. I don't want to be like, I want more, and then you die.
Yeah. That's it. That's it, Sam. It's like you get that you will want to die someday. It's the same way that some people feel, and I think we had this conversation before, and this was an idea of yours, Sam. I think that the same way that in life, some people feel that it's enough already, so they kill themselves.
Yeah. So the idea was that everybody would kill themselves at some point. If you live forever, at some point you want to die because it will just be enough for you. You'll just experience too many deaths, experience too many lives, and it would become boring and mundane. So you would want to kill yourself at some point. It's just a shame that the people who do it in their lifetime. But at some point, I think everybody would kill themselves.
I think the conclusion that you would have after living thousands of years or millions or whatsoever would be the same that Eduardo Lourenço had. Yes. It was exactly the same. And then, yeah, you see how it's done, Pedro? Yeah, guys. Well, I'm going to have dinner. I actually didn't. Well, I have one here, which is not great. It's not like really profound, but it's something that will affect us because
your previous question,
which was
the crazy prediction for the last.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Mine, it's not like really profound, but it's regarding something that represents one of the futures or the possible futures of technology and society in a way, which is related to Bitcoin. And I think we'll end this year with Bitcoin at $200,000. Now, this moment, it's at 55,000, more or less.
And I think the question was it was just a whole thing about to talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah, it is. It is a good. And I'm
excuse.
Yes, I'm really loving to learn, and that's my with 3 minutes of thinking. That's my most auspicious prediction for this year. One good thing for you guys to help you. One good thing not good thing, unfortunately, but that I saw yesterday is that a study showed on the newspaper, on the journal, on TV, that it seems like the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines are 66% ineffective against the South African new
Yeah,
shtick.
that's old news. I think they are actually, because I saw the same, and but
Okay,
I can't,
so
I can't commit to my information. But
so imagine that that's true. So it would mean that not even the vaccines will be enough to make people feel safer and quieter.
It's-
So this thing
at this
could,
point, you just go back to normal life. If you see that there's nothing you can do, you put more people in hospitals. You will have to do that. The
do you think?
hospitals will the hospitals will have to become bigger, and then you have vaccines that you give every year, and some of them work, some of them don't. But like the flu now, and then you just live normal life
But
because
you think normal life like 2019, or do you think
yes, yes,
government,
yes. No,
or do
like
you
just
think, or you think government will have some measures, some extra measures to help, but in truth can be just measures of lowering our freedom because people are afraid. So people like, for instance, compulsory to use masks everywhere, or have to close at that time. Do you think a
it's
bar
possible. It's
can?
possible, but I don't think it would end there. It would. I don't think it would go that way. I think
No.
people wouldn't take it. People wouldn't take it because like now everybody is doing an effort because we know that it's going to end. If you know that it's not going to end, I think most people will be like, if it's when I'm older, I know I will be more vulnerable, but that's a risk we're all making, and let's accept that some of us will die younger. Could be me, could be my father. Hopefully, it won't be. Who knows? But let's carry on living free.
With this idea, I was talking with the friends last night. Sorry to jump in, but we kind of framed it in a really nice way. And what the world is doing at the moment is probably like the biggest form of empathy that has ever existed in humanity. Everybody's putting their life in hold and making huge sacrifices just so other people don't die.
Yeah,
Isn't that like kind of a
yeah,
beautiful thing that what
yeah, yeah.
everybody's doing worldwide? But at some point we're gonna have enough and say fuck it.
But no, but in March or April, the word was
Not worth it.
everything's gonna be all right,
Obviously,
right? In
what?
March, in March and April and May, the message was everything's gonna be all right. But now
Yeah.
that's not the message anymore. So people are getting really tired. So let's just hope that in Portugal case, I don't know, after April, after Easter, stuff really get used to normal, or otherwise, I don't know. And that's in Portugal. I imagine in Germany,
Germany's better.
normal, it's better.
But
So, okay, I did my prediction, guys. I'm just waiting to hear yours.
I think Joe Biden will die. No, I'm
Really?
joking. No, I'm joking. In case
So you,
YouTube is listening and you asked for a prediction, this is not my wish. I don't wish anyone to die. It was a joke. It's easy to think of some kind of war, like that's the thing that's easier to.
what kind of war? Like technological war,
No,
like
like
on the.
Israel, Palestine,
Oh,
and
but that's already happening. So
no, it's something bigger. But because I'm reading Prisoners of Geography, it made me as I'm reading this book, I'm always like, fuck, everything is so fragile. The peace that we have right now, pretty much worldwide, it seems like it's really kind of always hanging by a thread. But so I would say, but I don't know. I don't have any specific war in mind that would happen. So I don't have any crazy prediction.
okay. What about you, Sam?
It's difficult to be put on the spot, but I guess I'm an optimist, so I'll go with something optimistic. I think all of this like turmoil we're going through at the moment with this COVID we'll start to deal with it, I think, and this empathy that we have for each other will like shine through. And once we have an opportunity to interact with each other,
I will make it easier. Do you think we'll have a completely normal New Year's Eve?
I was thinking about that. I predict that New Year's Eve is going to be one of the craziest New Year's Eve ever.
Okay. I'll cheers to that.
Really big parties everywhere. It's gonna be fucking wild. People are gonna wish they had two bodies so they could go to more than one party. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking wild, bro. I tell you.
Okay. That's a good prediction. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go.
All right.
Here, time to dinner.
We'll finish. It's almost 2 hours. Thank you for participating.
It was a pleasure.
If you're watching this, subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.
And
And
don't forget to buy this beautiful book.
Yes,
because Pedro is not the only writer. O Tempo a Conta Gotas. Available on wook.pt, or in my editora. Publisher, Empório Editora. Okay, guys, it was my marketing moment.
Yes, well, Fábio is the best Portuguese poet. Although
thank you, Pedro.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Sam, Pedro. Nice to be here with you.